sweets, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm finally doing my review in the Anastasia Beverly Hills Luminous foundation. This was really hyped up, by the way, because Anastasia, the only foundation that had it was the stick one still in the market. I don't remember if they had another one. I'm not sure, and to be really honest, I didn't even look to have that information, but I was really curious when they launched this one. By the way, I'm a big fan of Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palettes. Not so much about the brow products because I have really thick eyebrows. Technically, I can use anything in my eyebrows. I'm not saying that they aren't good quality products. I'm just saying that because of what I have as eyebrows, I don't need a really good product. I can use whatever, technically. Whatever I have. I can either get away using an eyeshadow just to fill a couple of gaps and use a mascara, and that's it. I'm ready to go. And that particular products that they offer, yeah, they're good. I know they are good, but I don't use them in regular basis because I don't need them. But the eyeshadow palettes, each one of them that I have, they are great. I don't regret buying any of them, and I will be very happy if by any chance I can get my hands in each one of them. But sometimes I have to be picky of what I buy because I buy them myself. I need to spend my money wisely. Really long introduction. The point is that finally I can give you my opinion in the foundation that they launched a couple of months ago. This is the actual packaging of the foundation. I really like the packaging. You will notice the box of this foundation. Also, the actual foundation resembles the sides of the box. The same way that is written foundation in the box is the same way that you have it in the bottle of the foundation. Also, this is the same as in the bottle. I'm in the shade 220N. I'm trying to just stick to neutrals in my foundations because I'm a Latin. My skin turns a little bit towards the yellow side, but also I have a little bit of redness in my skin, so I go with the neutral because it will neutralize those two things that I have in my skin because of my heritage. Also, my skin goes towards the normal side of things. I can almost get away using any foundation, but I'm not into matte. I don't like how I look in them. I'm almost 40, so I don't want to look older. I'm not into full coverage foundation. I know that this is towards the medium side, but the way that I apply or use my foundations is a really light applications. If I'm doing a review just like this, I turn up the notch a little bit, but for my regular or my preference, I rather like a really light application of foundation. I'm more, if I could say so, towards the tinted moisturizers, the CC creams, the BB creams. But I really wanted to try this, and I love this foundation. It's the one that I'm wearing today. This is the finish of it. I don't mind that part of the things that I have in my complexion are peeking through. I have a couple of freckles. I have this, but I have been wearing this foundation today for almost like, let's just say around 4-hour mark, and still it haven't sinking into my smile lines. It doesn't do anything strange in my nose, and yeah, I have this expression lines, but it doesn't sink into them. They're really strong expression lines, so I can't do anything with them, and I don't want to do anything with them, and this is just me, so whatever, I have to deal with what I have. It is a luminous foundation, so if you are towards the oily side of the spectrum, just prep your skin properly. Use a mattifying primer, use a oil control, in this parts of your face that you need to be controlled. And I think that you will use this and you will look so amazing. Today I only use a pump and a half because I wanted to give a little more coverage in the center part of my face. Now you're gonna see the first time that I apply this foundation. Sit with the ColourPop Pretty Fresh primer. Then I apply my foundation, and also I dotted it. I use one pump and then I use a half of a pump and I dotted it into the center part of my face. Then I went with the Bobbi Brown concealer to conceal a little bit the darkness that I had in my eyes. The concealer that I use, it is the Milani Conceal Plus Perfect Longwear Concealer. Then I set everything with my Coty Airspun. For highlighter, I went with the Couture, the shade Illuminati. I used for bronzer the Lovecraft Beauty bronzer. I use two blushes. The first one that I use, it is from Sugar. It is the mini blush in the shade Peach Peak. And then I went with the Pixy by Petra. This is the Fresh Face blush in the shade Peach Parfait. To buff everything into my complexion, I went with the Physician Formula Youthful Wear. And last, to set everything, I went with the ColourPop Setting Mist. I love how my complexion looked. Everything looked polished. And I had a really nice wear time with that one. I use this brush, by the way. This is the Real Techniques sculpting brush. The second time that I use it is the one that you're gonna see right now. I used the Touching Soul No Poreblem primer. Then I went with the Cover FX blurring primer, and on top of those two, I use the foundation. I use again the Bobbi Brown concealer in Bisque. I use the Smashbox concealer. To set my under eye, I went with the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder. And for the rest of my complexion, I went with the Becca Hydra Mist. I used the ColourPop Press Bronzer. I went with the Asian Men Creme Blusher. I love the Asian Men Cream Blushes. And for highlighter, I went with another ColourPop highlighter in the shade Wisp. And that day, I didn't have any problems at all. The third time that I use, which is the next clip that you're gonna see, I start with the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. Then I use the Smashbox Studio Skin Shaping Foundation in the shade 2.1. Then I apply the foundation and I buff it into my skin. I went with the Pretty Vulgar Cover Concealer. I set the concealer with the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Loose Powder. I set my entire complexion with the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder. For blush, I went with the L'Oreal True Match Blendable Super Blush. Then I went with the Physician Formula Butter Bronzer. I apply highlighter, and to buff everything, I went with the Physician Formula Youthful Wear. And to set everything in place, I have the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Setting Mist. This was another day that everything looked so perfect and so polished. I really like how polished my skin looks with this foundation. And the fourth and last time, which is today, is what you're gonna see at this moment. Started with the Touching Soul Pretty Filter Glossy. Then I applied the foundation. I went with the Bobbi Brown, again, corrector in Bisque. I used the Catrice Liquid Camouflage Concealer. Then I went to set my concealer with the CoverGirl Vitalist Healthy Powder. For my entire complexion, I went with the Pure 4-in-1 Mineral Pressed Powder. Then for bronzer, I went with the Nomad Kiss of Sun. For highlighter, I went with the Ofra by Nikki Tutorials Glow Goals. Then to buff everything in place, I went with the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Palette. And last but not least, I used to set everything in place the In Beauty Project Power Up Dual Setting Mist, if I'm not mistaken. And this is how everything looks. So, as I said, I love this foundation.